Jake, you manage both small and large assets, smart communities. How did the challenges and strategies differ from a 64-unit property to a 540-unit property? What makes managing those differently?
Definitely the smaller communities sometimes think are a bit harder in a sense because I think you have to keep everybody more happy more of the time. It's a smaller, tight-knit community and everybody knows everybody. So you definitely have to be on your game. We all have to be, but with fair housing aspects and stuff, because, it tends to end up being where you become more friendly with people. So it's like, you have to make sure you stay on the right path on the 64-unit communities. I think it's a lot easier to veer there because you become closer to people. Kind of 40-unit communities and stuff, it's just the difference there is the quantity that just comes in. But it's what I thrive in. I love chaos on that sense of things. Control chaos is my element where I thrive best. So just having all those consistent phone calls and always another problem to solve, that part is the challenging part that made it fun for me. But it's just, I'll say, the quantity on the large communities. It's all the same. We all learn something new every day, but it's the quantity on the larger properties.
Jake, how did your experience in different roles, from leasing to supervising to be a maintenance supervisor, shape your approach to property management and maintenance specifically?
It's the understanding of both roles that really helps. And I think what definitely has propelled my career in this way is, for any maintenance guy, if you get out there, take the time to go lease a unit. Ask if you can get that cross-training. Because I've known a lot of guys in the past, and I used to be one too, where the leasing team would come out, they would punch your units, and you took it from this hellhole to this apartment that looks decent, but they still are kind of picking apart those little details and stuff. So when it comes to those punch lists and stuff, it's once you go lease a unit and you're walking with a customer, they're kind of picking it out, or you feel like you're constantly kind of shuffling around as you're standing in front of a hole in a wall or a stain in a carpet or something like that. It gives you a new perspective on what your teammates are dealing with in that sense. In so many different cases, it kind of feels like we're divided roles from maintenance to management because we do kind of focus on different areas. But it's really nice to understand that feeling. Being able to do the leasing part of it, it just really opened my eyes to that. And then it makes you more successful in your maintenance role because now you're hitting those things for your leasing team that were important to you at the time, and now they're covered for them. And it completely changes that aspect.
Centralization is a hot topic in the industry currently. I want to get your take on this word, this concept, and tell me, do you think it's just a buzzword? Is it a real thing? Is it somewhere in between, a combination of these two? How do you see centralization in maintenance, in multifamily maintenance?
Yeah, it's weird. I see centralization working well in certain circumstances, but in the grand scheme of things, it might take a little bit of personality and the closeness that we have in our teams into our property, where you're not so tied down to one thing where you know all the residents' names and stuff. I think on a small scale, it's going to be good. I think on a big scale, I'm going to be interested to see where it goes. It might be the new way, but I'm leaning more on buzzword right now. The time will tell. I think honestly, in the end, it's going to be what the money comes down to, right? Is that properties are saving money and they're getting a quality product because of that. I mean, we've seen other companies like Epic over in this area where I think they employ, and I'm speaking very lightly on this, I think they employ a maintenance personnel to the property to take care of odds and ends, but for their unit turns and stuff like that, they're just they've completely hired out a company to take care of all the turns and stuff, which I don't see how that necessarily is making a lot of money or how it's expensive. 18 to $2,000 usually for basic turns and stuff. So there's a lot of change on the forefront of what is going through on the maintenance side of things right now. I think they're just trying to figure it out. Sadly, I think that's just because the trade skills and stuff like that I don't think it is, but it feels like a dying breed. It's harder to find people that want to get in there. But I think we're starting to see a little bit of that change coming where people are wanting to find that more hands-on experience.
We're just talking about the shortage of qualified personnel in maintenance. How about the ones that are actually new to multifamily maintenance? What type of advice would you have for those that are just starting their career in multifamily maintenance?
Get involved way soon. Join your WMFAs and your NAAs and join a committee wherever you can. Accelerate that. Get your credentials because there are credentials out there for maintenance and those do matter. Just you can grow quickly. So our industry has sometimes incredible growth, which can also be detrimental. So I would say on that end, don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid to take advice or criticisms on that sense of things, and just hang in there, because like within your, like, I mean, you honestly within 5 years can get yourself a very decent wage. Ride the wave, find somebody who is trustworthy that you can follow, and, you know, ride the wave up. Your relationships are always going to take you farther, and find that mentor, and mentor somebody if you've been in it for a while.
Jake, let's talk misconceptions. What are the most common misconceptions that you hear from others that don't have any multifamily maintenance experience, looking from outside looking in what we do on a daily basis?
Sometimes I feel like it's, I think that's part of the problem why we don't have skilled people, is because I don't know that people have any opinions about it, good nor bad sometimes. And sometimes I feel like it's like, oh, you do property management, and then all of a sudden they start learning at what you do, and they're like, oh, wait, you're responsible for how many units? And they're like, wait, you're responsible for doing X, Y, and Z. And you're like, yeah, we have to make sure like all the money goes in the bank. We have to do like, you know, it's an actual like job. It's not just like it's not like you're just kind of go. I mean, I think I felt from people in the past that it kind of feels like a McDonald's job. You know, it's just like you're kind of there doing a job and then you go home. But it's like, no, we're managing assets. You know, it's like a business professional world. It's weird because it's like white collar and blue collar at the same time, which is kind of funny. I just don't know that enough people have a perspective, because I don't think people really know what our industry is about. And I'll reflect back to what I say is like, none of us, I think, ever knew we were going into property management and that it was going to be, it was like not something. I knew I wanted to be in property as a broker or something like that, but I didn't know it was going to end up being this per se, which is funny because now I look back and if I could tell anyone, no, get into the industry. It's fantastic.